Jeremy Clarkson has asked, as the row over his column about the Duchess of Sussex shows no sign of ending.
And yesterday, a month to the day since it was first published, he apologised again, saying, rather bizarrely, if you ask me, on Christmas morning, I emailed Harry and Meghan in California, I bet they were waiting for that, to apologise to them. I said I was baffled by what they had been saying on TV, but that the language I'd used in my column was disgraceful and that I was profoundly sorry.
That has not satisfied the Sussexes, who said Clarkson addressed Harry only in that email and not Meghan, adding, what remains to be addressed is his long-standing pattern of writing articles that spread hate rhetoric, dangerous conspiracy theories and misogyny. So, what do you think? Should the couple accept the sorry from Jeremy Clarkson?
Joining us is Bushra Sheikh, who says people make mistakes and Harry and Meghan should move on, and historian Dr. Tessa Dunlop, who says the apology isn't sincere. So, Bushra.
Hello.
What do you think?
Honestly, I think he's given an apology, not once, twice now. They should accept it.
I'm not sure the first was an apology. The first seemed to be...
Well, it was some type of account.
An acknowledgement that other people had found it offensive.
Yeah, so he was kind of saying that, OK, I understand that people are finding it offensive. He's then written again, it's an apology. He sent it their way. Just accept it and let's move on. We need to build some positivity. I feel like it's drama-centric. Why are we going over the same thing again? It's Jeremy Clarkson. He's holding his hands up and he's saying, I've done something wrong, I've said something wrong, it's not right, and I'm trying to put this right. And let's just move on.
Dr. Tessa Dunlop, why don't you accept it?
On numerous levels, the way in which he's apologised is flawed, and his behaviour over the long term is flawed. This is a man who's had numerous second chances, who was actually kicked off our state broadcaster for violent behaviour. So that to one side. If you actually look at the way he approached this, he said to Harry, apparently only Harry and not Meghan as well, you know, I'm baffled by your TV show, but you know, horrified by my own behaviour, I'm sorry. Well, that's this kind of conditional apology. It's a bit like saying, oh, I find your face really ugly, but I'm sorry I punched it. So I can understand why, you know, they're on this crusade, whether you believe in it or not. He said, well, I don't believe in your crusade. So he's kind of undermined their whole current platform vis-a-vis the royal family. But secondly, the timing stinks. I mean, if you rummage around in the small print, Amazon Prime is currently reviewing recommissioning the Grand Tour. This is a guy who's worried about his money-making empire crumbling because he hasn't been, to use his word, vigilant.
Bushra Sheikh, Dr. Tessa Dunham has a point, doesn't she? It was quite a long statement he wrote. And in it, a lot of the things he says do seem to sort of mitigate against the apology that he is making.
But it's
not. I mean, perhaps he could have just said, do you know what? I should never have written that column, and I apologise wholeheartedly for doing so, and left it at that.
So basically, people are going to question, is he sincere? Is this apology genuine? Is it because of the Amazon Prime? What is it? You know, why is he apologising to? But, you know, I'm just going to preface with the fact that perhaps there is an element of what Jeremy Clarkson is saying is what a lot of people in this country want to say. And let's just say that the terminology that he used and the way that he constructed what it was when he tweeted it, you know, back then or wrote about it, was not right. And you know, I'm going to be the first one to hold my hand up and say at that time I publicly said this is disgusting. He should not be writing like that. But then when you really, really think about it, he's saying what a lot of people genuinely think right now.
But Bushra, what is the broader messaging? Currently, the Law Commission recommends the idea of extending the fence of stirring up hatred to include sex or gender because of the rising threat of extreme misogyny. This is on a day when there are 800 officers in our Metropolitan Police under investigation for sexual violence and domestic abuse. And we're going to say a seasoned broadcaster, a man who, within his own apology, admits, I've written more than 5,000 articles. If they are not checked and read by somebody else, can't be trusted not to be a misogynist. And his claim that he isn't misogynist is on the basis that he never accused women of not being able to park their cars.
How is it that we're using this term misogyny so loosely now? I'm hearing it all the time, and I'm saying there's a fair argument for it, and I'm sure there are men out there. I just feel like we're using these terms so loosely. Sometimes it's not fair, because when we deem misogyny, what is misogyny? And I know that, you know, as a woman and this feminist rhetoric that goes on with misogyny, I feel like to ban Jeremy Clarkson under the same banner as the Metropolitan Police is rather unfair, actually. I feel like those two things are not
Dr. Tessa Dunlop, he has apologised for what he said in the column. What Harry and Meghan say is effectively you should apologise for ever writing a column. You should apologise for who you are. I mean, is that reasonable?
I'm not a massive follower of what Jeremy Clarkson writes. I think I can recall 2 counts. One where he was getting cheap laughs because of small people, and another one when there was a socio-demographic he was accusing of only eating the vitamin C in the jammy bit in a Jaffa cake. You know, making the point here, oh, but I'm being interesting, but not hugely vigilant about whether I'm being kind. I think their broader point, to an extent, stands. This isn't a man renowned for his compassion, somebody who's made his fortune from being highly thoughtful, but it's actually broader than Harry and Meghan. Though what the interesting thing is, because Meghan was the victim of his piece, that's why we're talking about this. And you do have to wonder if you'd used the same terminology, throwing excrement at a naked woman walking down the street who he hated, if it had been any other woman, would this have attracted so much attention? And I'm almost grateful that because of Meghan's profile, we're being forced to talk about this.
I just wonder whether we're just not talking here too much about Jeremy Clarkson. I mean, look, the column was awful.
Yeah.
It was big deal awful.
Yep.
And the apology is weak.
Yep.
So and Jeremy Clarkson is, let's be honest, a ridiculous figure. Put him to one side. If you think of Harry and Meghan and their strategy over the last week or two, they don't give any ground to anybody. They have said some things they probably shouldn't have said. I thought what Harry said about William's and Kate's children at the weekend, he shouldn't have said. If there's going to be any reconciliation, which is they say they want, both sides have to give some ground. I just wonder whether this might have been an opportunity for Harry and Meghan to get to the high ground and say, look, we accept the apology, it's not enough. I just wonder whether they seem to be digging themselves into such a deep bunker they can't escape.
I mean, you really got to think about this. Right now, it serves them not to actually accept the apology. It serves them. It's a huge PR campaign for them. They are trying to send a message out there. For them to just go in and accept this apology, they're not going to benefit from it, really, are they? They need this narrative to drive forward. This is something that their PR campaign's probably telling them to do.
The other thing I'm interested, Ed, in the way that you so readily dismiss Jeremy Clarkson, I think your word perhaps was ridiculous, I can't remember, when he has huge platforms on ITV, this channel, with Amazon Prime, in Murdoch's newspapers, on social media. So, on the one hand, yes, you can discount him, but let's also then discount Harry and Meghan and talk more broadly about what is a coarse rhetoric towards women, which has been normalised in our mainstream media, and which this is a case in point of saying it's not good enough. And if once again Jeremy Clarkson is forgiven, which he has been in the past, by the way,
well, he's
Sandwichgate seems to have done no wonders for his
but he's
career.
also paid a price, hasn't he? I think that, you know, is any apology ever going to be good enough? The answer seems to be no.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
Right.
And is this a culture? We're going into this apologising, apologist culture. Honestly, to be honest, if he genuinely meant some of the things that he said, he should have said it with his chest and not even apologised for it. But he doesn't need the money and he doesn't need things like that. He has made an apology.
Okay, we have to move on because we have the Education Secretary standing by who may even have a view on this. Busher and Tessa, thank you both very much indeed.